I started my day at Sweetie's house where we have a secondary bed of bulb onions. And on the bulb onions, you can do onion top pesto. So I'm going to show you a quick video of me cutting the tops off, regular scissors, nothing special, and putting them in a bucket. And then I came home and cut my own, and we'll do some onion top pesto together. You want to leave 3 to 4 inches towards the base, and they'll grow back. These are thick ones. Oh, these are the red onions. Just realized that. Are they half and half? Mm-hmm. Look at this one. When they flop over, sometimes they break off like that one. Like this one. Just cut it there. Hi neighbors, I'm in the kitchen today and I'm going to make something called onion top pesto. And we get so many of these when we do the bulb onions that I don't want these to go to waste, and they smell incredible. So what we're going to do is follow this recipe. I follow Becky at Acre Homestead. I've been following her since during pandemic times, maybe 2021. And she did this recipe. I'll link it below where you can print it. But I've been wanting to make it for a long time, and I didn't have bulb onions. I always had the bunch onions, and I used those a totally different way. So now I have the bulb onions, and I have the tops. So I'm going to follow this recipe and show you how to make the pesto. Now this is not going to be canned. This will be in the refrigerator, and I'll be making freezer meals, pasta dishes and things, and putting this pesto in it, and then it'll go in the freezer. So she doesn't say how long this will last in the fridge, but I'm thinking with the lemon juice and the zest and the olive oil, that's pretty good preservation. So I would say 2 weeks would be good, because even the tubes that you buy in the store that are pre-made say use within 10 days of opening. So they're shelf stable with all those preservatives, but we're looking for something healthier than the extra xanthan gum and other emulsifiers that they put in our food. So this is simply the onion tops. And she says any green leafy herb. So I might try this with parsley or some of my extra oregano or basil even, or mix some of them together. Smaller batch. I mean, this is going to be a huge batch. 3/4 cup Parmesan cheese, 1/2 cup toasted walnuts, which I already spread mine out on this pre-cut parchment, and I'm going to put these in the oven at 325 for maybe 10-15 minutes. Toasting them brings out the nutrition, but it also takes out any extra water you have, which is going to inadvertently make your end product runny. So you want to get some of the moisture out, especially I live in a moist, humid climate, and I don't have oxygen absorbers in my jars because, let's be honest, I go through walnuts pretty regularly. I eat them as snacks and put them in other things. So I've got them sitting out here, and she says 1/2 cup toasted walnuts. And I would say I have about 3 cups. So I'm like tripling the recipe, quadrupling. We'll see how much we have. Okay. And this is not exact science, because if you want a nuttier, richer taste, you're going to put more walnuts in there. If you want a zestier, more zing to your recipe, you probably want more lemon juice. And it's really all to taste, and you can't mess it up. You try it, you keep adding. We're just going loosely by what she tells us to put in here, and see how it goes. Okay, I'm going to put these in the oven. All right. I got the timer set for 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and get these onion tops cleaned up. And I'm going to need a huge bowl and colander. All right, this is my strawberry processing one. Big as your head. And this colander. So Mother Nature gave us a rainstorm last night, and I know most of these have been washed well, but I do want to look for yellowed ends or any little hiding things. And when I cut them, I usually am particular about any little crawly things that may have been hanging out in there. And like this one on the end, a little bit of yellow, so I'll just pick that off. And then of course, some of these are really long, so you can just, you know, gently snap them apart because they're going to be cut down anyways. So kind of like snap peas or beans, you know, really easy. I consider this therapeutic. I wouldn't say washing dishes is therapeutic though. I don't have a dishwasher, so everything, this is the magic right here. Picking off those yellow ends. You know, anything like this, I don't really necessarily want that in there. And I've just got the colander over the bowl, and I'll shake it a few times and then dump the water out and keep going. And as many times as I pick these up, they're getting washed multiple times. It's going to rain again tonight. And my flowers. I have to share with you guys my secret sauce for how to get really big blooms and really healthy roses. So I'll take a picture of my roses and then tell you the secret. An old farm girl raised with 11, I think she had 11 siblings, or there were 11 of them total. But she was one of 3 girls. So she had to help Mama in the garden and do all the things. And she told me, you know, she gardened like crazy, but she had this wall on her house that had 8 foot high rose bush. I mean, she had to chop them down almost with a chainsaw. And I asked her one day, not a tooth in her head, and she smiled all the time. She was a beautiful soul from the inside out. But I asked her one time, I said, there must be a secret. How do you hardly ever do anything with these and they look like this? Well, of course, she lived in that house with her husband and raised 8 of her own kids. But she told me the secret sauce and what she had been doing. And her roses were apparently a symbol of her children. You know, when she had a new child, that was something that she bought for herself to plant a new life and stuff. But also, she got them so big and so full on the side of the house just to spite her husband. You know, she said he used to threaten her, if you buy one more rose bush, I'm going to divorce you. Well, you know, they kept coming and they were beautiful and people stopped by to take pictures of them. And they were just gorgeous, just as beautiful as she was. So, yeah. And her name was Miss Clary. When I first learned her name, and I had been a fan of Steel Magnolias for years, I thought, how funny. She wasn't Louisa. She kind of looked like Louisa, but she wasn't. She was so kind. Alright, so I'm about done. Well, I'm about full in my bowl, so I better start cutting these up and measuring to see how many multiplications of this recipe we're going to have. Because she says 3 cups of these onion tops. Well, I'm telling you right now, I probably have 4 times that. And I'm okay with that. So let's see what we got. Almost done. I'm going to shake these out. Sorry about the racket, y'all. I'll get some towels out in a minute. Because while we're drying out our nuts, we don't want all this extra water in our onions. We don't want watery pesto. We want it to stick to our pasta and whatnots. Oh my gosh, can you imagine this with some homemade sourdough bread and pesto with a little mozzarella smelted on it? Oh my goodness. And I have been saying so many times about starting my sourdough starter that my sweetie doesn't want to hear it anymore. He probably, oh yeah, that starter. Probably like Miss Clary and her roses. If I hear about that starter one more time, he's not going to do anything. He's food motivated. He loves my cooking and I love to cook. So, kismet. It just keeps going. It just keeps on giving. All right. And y'all, no judgment about my dishes in the sink. I did a show this weekend with my sister. We had our crafts and things that we make, bird feeders and some boutique resale items at a craft fair here in Conway, Arkansas, which is about an hour from my house. So my goodness, driving into town every day, and I don't miss traffic. I don't miss the lights. My little tiny town, and I don't really have to have school zones or any of that. But we did that fair this weekend, and setting up for it, I was exhausted. Cleaning up after it, equally exhausted. But we met some cool people, and we had a good time. We have an online boutique, and I can leave a link for that if you want to see what kind of things we sell. We're just getting it, ramped up with some of our homemade things. It's the 3 of us, my mom, my sister, and I. And so it's a mix of all of our styles, and we just have fun. We just do it for fun. we like to show the things that we've thrifted or things that we've repurposed. And it's our, well, for me, gardening is my creative outlet. But the crafts and remaking things, sewing things, mending things, is also my jam. Oh boy. I think I dropped one. Okay, so let me get some work towels. I buy these flour sack and vintage cheesecloth towels just wherever I can find them. And they're perfect for covering your bread to rise, you know, your dough, or if you're fermenting something, you can lay it over the top with a rubber band, put a plate over it. That's what the German women do for their sauerkraut. They have those big ceramic and pottery, you know, crocks, and they put an old plate over the top of it. So I know you probably, there we go. Here we go. So I'm laying them out on this towel, and I'm just going to gently roll it over a couple of times and get as much of that water out of there as possible. And let that sit for a minute. Then I got my other bowl here and another work towel going this way. I'll put some out here. Okay. I have the smallest kitchen space. I have a normal size, decent sized kitchen for less than 900 square foot house, you know, built in the 20s. But the kitchen counter space, workspace, that's prime real estate around here. All right. These rolled up here and shaken out. And I clean the counter really well. Anybody's weirding out, it's a butcher block counter. It's a faker. They didn't put their real deal in here, and I don't care if there's cuts or not on it because I'm going to replace them at some point. Not sure what, but this house is under renovations. All right. Still see a little bit of water in there. Our timer is going to go off in 1 minute. Okay, so these are pretty well done out. Put those in the laundry later. This is my favorite knife to use. I have a Henckels set. I had to look at the name because all of a sudden my brain is fried. I am not very good at chopping, cutting. Usually end up taking off part of my finger. So this is a good size for me. Find one that you're comfortable with, that you can use for most things. You know, cheese, meats, vegetables, everything. And sharpen it regularly. The block that this one goes in has a sharpening blade in there. But I highly suggest you getting something simple like this one. I can link it on Amazon. And you just, you know, it has a safety blade, and you just slide it on there a few times. Oh, nuts are done. Let me get those out of there. Oh, they need a few more minutes. A little bit more oil out of them. Oop. So this one has the sharpening blade in the block that I was saying. But if you have that hand held, then you can sharpen right before one of your projects. Okay, so I'm going to take a bunch of these and just rough chop so that they will fit nicely in my food processor, because we need all of these chopped up in one batch. So I'm not being picky about equal size, length, none of that. just shorter and still picking out these yellow. I don't want these yellow pieces in there. So my bowl is here in the sink and I'm throwing the extras on the side. It's not all going together. Probably some people at home cringing, waiting for me to take my thumb off. I promise. We're going to keep it clean today, no blood. Alright. Rough chop. Let's see. You can go one more again on that one. And you don't want to mutilate them or bruise them. So, you know, you're just sliding over them slightly. And then you're going to get peeled off because some pieces are rather large and then you'll have little tender pieces. So the larger ones will peel in different sections. And that's okay too. Because again, this is all going into the food processor with our ingredients. And it doesn't matter. You know, you don't want big onion tops in your pesto. We're just getting these to a manageable length. All right. Is this as boring as watching me cut all of them or wash all of them? All right. Down to this pile and a few on the floor. It's not a good cooking day if I don't have to sweep up. That one's definitely shredded in pieces. My eyes might be a little watery. This does have some of the same effect that onions do. Okie dokie. Yep, and I cut some meat the other night, and I'm going to have to definitely sharpen this blade. Because for onions, it should be less pressure than that. But that's okay. We're just rough chopping. We're not Top Chef here. More on the floor. Woohoo! Okay, I have got this big bowl here. And I am going to measure from this bowl to my other big bowl how many cups we have, so we know how many multiples we need. Let's make sure. 3 cups onion tops. My ginormo drawer over there. And this is loose, y'all. We're not technical. This is a 1.5 cup measuring cup. So that's 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 9, 10 and a half, 12. So that is 4 times the recipe. Now, I'm going to make another batch on another day. So these will freeze beautifully. I will put them in a food saver bag, shrink them down, and put them in the freezer. And I do know onion tops will stay in the freezer for about 3 months if there's no moisture. So if you've got the freezer gallon bags or you got the freezer food safe ones, you should be okay. So judging by the fact that that looks like equal halves, we'll probably have a quadruple batch in 3 months. I'll probably use it before then, but hey. Go ahead and put my towels up. You want to see my pretty face again? Or you want to keep watching the bowl? Okay, so we've got our onion tops. And she says, place onion tops, Parmesan cheese, nuts, lemon juice, zest in a food processor. Running slowly, add the oil until desired texture is reached. So what I'm going to do is pre-measure all of my ingredients, get them laid out here, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes. All right, it got a little dark on me. It's going to rain again today. Plus, I had to move over to the other counter space because the plug is behind the refrigerator. 1920s house, they have like 2 plugs in here. I pre-measured everything. I got it rolling. Now we're back to the measurements. So I'm working with this cutie right here. It is a 5-cup processor, and it's made by KitchenAid, my favorite. I like Cuisinart, but KitchenAid is the jam too. And ta-da! Okay, we're in business. So 3 cups, and I put it all in a bowl because that was funny. That's how I roll. And remember, we're not exact here. This is going to be fun shoving this in here. But you know, you use what you got. I, for the life of me, cannot find the blade for my big mixer. That was, yeah. That was 1.5 because this is 1.5 cups. So we're going to do 1 more. I can't talk and chew bubble gum. Okay. So we got all these in there, sort of. And it's going to work, I tell you what. I'm going to run these through for a few seconds before I put any other ingredients in here. Shrink them down. Tell you what, attitudinal today. All right. Three cups onion tops. Okay. Now she says 3/4 cup Parmesan cheese. And y'all, I can only fit 1 batch in here at a time. And that's great because I tripled it, quadrupled it in my measurements. And so now I only have to do 1 batch at a time, scrape it out in a jar, put it in the fridge, repeat. Before I tell you about my Parmesan cheese that I grated off camera, y'all don't need to see that either. I want to mention, you've probably heard it before, about anti-caking agents. When you buy bagged cheese, you're doing a disservice to your finished product because it has the anti-caking agent around the cheese so that you don't have a big glob in the bag, or if it doesn't stay at a certain temperature from the grocery store to your house, then you have this big glob. So I buy this from Costco. It's not always this brand. This one was $11.14 for 1.69 pounds, and it's $6.59 a pound. Life-changing. If you're still using the bagged cheese for your ingredients, try, I know it's an investment, but try to get the real Parmesan cheese and grate it yourself when you're going to use it. Now, I do sometimes pre-grade this stuff and keep it in the freezer, but I try to do that within a week, 2 at the most, so that it's not dried out and it's not got freezer burn or whatever, because the coating that they put on it is protecting it. So once you've cut it or sliced into it, you're making that vulnerable to the oxygen and fungus. And I know that blue cheese is fungus, but Parmesan is not, and you don't want it on your Parmesan. In addition to that, I keep all of these ends. Now, sometimes I do freeze these, and I'm not worried about the moisture or whatever, because an Italian told me almost 10 years ago that you just throw one of these cubes in here, you know, a 2-inch block, in your chicken stock, in your soups, vegetable stew, anything that you're going to set for 3 or 4 hours, and the enzymes in this break down and increase your soup flavor tenfold. And I've tried it on several of my recipes, and it makes a huge difference. You keep these ends. If you're going to invest in this good cheese, this imported cheese, keep the ends. And you can have some of the cheese, like I didn't grate it all the way down, so you can keep some of the cheese on there and just pitch a 2-3 inch hunk, depending on, like if you have a 3-quart batch, you'd want a 2-inch piece, but if you have a 6-quart big soup that you're, you know, stock, then you could have a, you know, 6 or 7 inch big hunk off the end of it. So I just wanted to tell you the beneficial ways. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge, and I'll wrap it up better later. Y'all don't want to see what's in there. Crazy town. Okay, 3/4. Nope. Yeah. 3/4 cup. And I have, you know, we're measuring with love here. So a half. And then half of a half. 3/4. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. That to the side now. Toasted walnuts. Mine were still warm, and that's okay. They're not burned. I had some that were darker when I first pulled them out of there. When I pulled them out of the bag, they are not burned. Okay. Half a cup of walnuts. This is one recipe. One turn around the merry-go-round. Okay. Zest of a lemon. I do not want mine that zesty, but I wanted to show you. If you don't have one of these, get one of these. I bought this one new. TJ Maxx, Home Goods, something like that, some time ago. It has a rubber stopper along the bottom, but I find that stuff gets caught in there. I have to pull it off and clean it. I don't need it anti-slip, because when I'm grating, I'm getting a workout, so I don't need that. So I zest all the way to where there's no yellow left, and I felt like this lemon was rather large, softball size, so this was enough zest for 3 batches. And I'm literally going to take a pinch like that, what I consider a third of it, and spread it around the top of my little Cuisinart, KitchenAid. Lord, I'm losing it. Okay, and she says, add oil, olive oil. I searched the kitchen. Avocado is the next best thing, because you can get the non-GMO, you can get the organic, but also it's flavorless. It's not going to change the end product that you're looking for. It's a smoother, has similar properties. And this is like a salad dressing and giving rich come together like mayonnaise does for your macaroni salad. This is just a hold together. Plus, avocado and olive oil have preservation properties. Like you can preserve garlic in them. And you can put meats in there to marinate and they stay days longer. So that's why I choose to use it. I'm going to drizzle it at the top. Give it a few go rounds in this and see where we're at. Plus a taste test. I'll probably have to put some salt in here. I'm not a big salt person. It doesn't, I don't like salt. Okay, it won't let me zoom in much, but getting a little smoother. And I believe this has a little drizzle in it. Yep. So I put it in the top. Doesn't have a little plug. It just goes in there. Oh yeah. So I'm going to scrape down the sides. Isn't this the cutest? I use this more than my bigger ones because it gets down in the jars and like the leftover mayonnaise and stuff. Love this. Small and mighty. Okay. I'm going to scrape down the sides. Get everybody back on the blades. It's pretty smooth because I did the onion tops first. And then I put everything else in there. But I think there's just a few bigger pieces in there that I want to cut down and smooth out. So let's spin me right round, right round. Little more oil, and you're just adding this as you go along. This thing is probably a tablespoon at the top, so I've added 3 tablespoons. She said 3/4 a cup of olive oil, but I really don't want it that oily. All right, we got to scrape down our sides again. Oh yeah, that's coming together. Look at this. That is going to be perfect on pasta. So let me spin it around a little bit more. And I'll do a little taste test. I just really don't want to put any more oil in there. I just want to get it as smoothed out and mixed as possible. Okay, I have a puree, so for the last bit, I'm going to do that. All right, folks. Ooh, boy. Almost looks like spinach artichoke dip. Oh, man, that smells so good. Now, I think this would be good with just a little bit of garlic in it. Maybe one of the other batches, I'll try that. So before I put any salt in it, I'm going to get one of my tester spoons. Must have salt. I know you can't see that coming out, and it looked like a lot, but it's kind of stuck in there. Okay. Only a smidge so we can get it moving. I mean, literally like a teaspoon. Okay. Here we go. best. Oh yeah, perfect. So, my only suggestion for that is cut down the walnuts. I'm getting too much walnuts. Plus, you probably want to put the walnuts in there first and get them smooth. But yeah, that's pretty good. So, I'm going to finish the next batches and show you a picture of how I've jarred them up. And I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. It's a great day, neighbors. Thanks for visiting me here at Whisker Ridge. Talk to you soon.